Hey folks, today I have a tool chest handle. Now there's supposed to be some D-rings on the ends here, which I'll be putting on. This is for a Star machinist toolbox, and I'm just going to go ahead and start getting into it, try to get the old leather off. The paper seems to be mostly, it's got some rough spots, let's face it, they're all going to be that way. This kind of wraps around the bottom with the stitching. And then there's a D-ring through the hole that attaches to the box. So I'm going to go ahead and start getting this leather off of here. And we'll start get ready to put some new stuff on. So stay tuned. I'm going to get you up on the bench cam here. And we'll get after it. Alright, got my little bit of acetone there. So every day should be a learning experience, as I see it. So I'm always learning new stuff. And the last handle I did, I wrapped the whole thing in really thin layer of leather, and I was able to do a lot more, or get it a lot better that way. So I may do that on this one too. Because I'm going to have to build up around here. So there's a flat metal piece that goes from end to end on these, and it wraps around, and then you have to put this ferrule in. I need to get the ferrule out because it's damaged and I need to make a new one. And making these ferrules it ain't fun. I'm just going to tell you that now. It ain't fun making them. So I've got to get it off. I usually will take my rotary tool and just kind of sand around it a little till it comes out gently. So I'm going to go ahead and do that, and then I'll be ready to start making some repairs to the leather here. It's split here in the corner, and it's around here. It's in bad shape. And I'll have to build up around the bottom here. There's the other one. That came out easier. But there's less paper hanging on around that end too. So, the next thing I'm going to do, this is really soft here. I'm going to peel some of this paper away. The middle of the handle is really nice yet. But we're just going to take some of this paper away. And we'll build it up. This handle comes down to here, so it comes up and it loops around, and then it comes down to here. That's all the farther that's buried in there. So we'll need to build all this up to an appropriate size. This side, I'm just going to do the same here. I have coated it with white glue, and that's just going to kind of bind all that paper together, just so it doesn't keep coming apart on me as I'm working on it. I'll put an extra strip down the middle here. There's a deep groove where the seam was. There's a really deep groove on this handle. So I want to fill that in, and then we'll start building up down around here, and be ready to start shaping it and making a new handle. Thought I ought to maybe give you a little update where I am with this handle. I'm going to have to put a piece on here, but when I wrap the whole thing, in sacrificial leather, that's when I'll do that. I had to cut the bottoms off, and I'm just putting some pieces of leather in there to kind of fill in the gaps. So I've got a little bit to do up towards the handle part yet, and I'm leaving it clamped up overnight. That way I know it's gonna set up good. And we're off enough here that I'm going to have to bend a little bit, try to bend this side out just a little bit. Because I think that's where it's supposed to be, out just a little. Or this one goes in, and I don't think that's what happens. And you just kind of have to do that real careful like. There we go. It looks pretty good. Once I wrap it, it's going to be a whole different deal. I've got some rawhide. I could just kind of go all the way around it with rawhide. But I don't need to. Regular old leather, skived really thin, will work perfect. But anyway, this has just been that process of gluing this stuff together. It takes a while to set up and dry. I moved my clamp around a little bit. Had to order a couple more clamps. This is the only one I can find. I know I've got another one around here somewhere. Or I threw it away. I might have thrown it out. It was missing this. One of the handles on it. And I had two more holding the light down on the sewing machine. But I'll just kind of move this around a little bit. I can put a little pressure on it that way and kind of keep everything together. Punch my holes in there, and I'll just have to put D-rings in. Well, I got a long ways to go before I get to D-rings, but I'll take you along as much as I can remember to do so. So I'm not sure where I left off on this handle. Things have been really sporadic around here. Just been kind of nuts is what it has been. So I've got built up around there about how I should need it. Hopefully. Now I have to shape it. Shaping it's going to be the hardest part. Make sure you got a good sharp blade. And I'm just going to go ahead and start trimming a little bit off. And if you cut something too much off, you know, we'll just put some back later. This is preliminary, so it is what it is. I am going to, now this here, I put across the top just to kind of even out this groove, because this one side was way higher than the other side. So I just took a piece about 3/8 of an inch wide, skived it down to nothing on one side, and left it, it's about 3 to 4 ounce thick there, and it's pretty even. I mean, I don't know, the camera ain't going to pick that up, but it's pretty even there. Alright, I'm going to time lapse some of this, but it's going to be loud. See if I can throw some music in there or something. So there we go. It's a start. It's not done yet. I need to shake my shirt off. Very messy process, but you want to not have to. You want to build it up enough the first time that you don't have to build it up any second time. I've taken it down a bit here, quite a bit, just so it's quite a bit thinner here, and you can get, there we go. That's a little better. I'm going to have some brass hollow. Do I have it out? Nope. I don't have it out. I'll have to find it again. I don't do a lot of these. I use brass because brass can be annealed, so it can be worked a little bit. What was in here was like chrome plated or nickel plated brass. And it's really, really hard to work that. But it is being what it is. It is what it has to be. And the brass just works a little easier. So I'm going to go ahead and tan coat this all up. And I'll put probably 2 coats on before I get out of the shop today. So I've been just doing some more shaping on the handle, the ends here. Got them both looking pretty fair. And of course, they're going to get wrapped again anyway, so they don't have to look perfect. They get wrapped, they'll be sanded again, and hopefully that's all I need to do, and I'll be able to do the final wrap. These get very time consuming. Alright, I've got my splitter set up over here, so I'm going to split down some leather to do that. I'll be back. Got my scissors handy, my glue. I gotta remember to order some glue. Just about out. I'm going to start right here. And there's some spots where I'm going to really press the leather into as I go so that it fills them in. So I want to keep my seam on the top here. This is where I'm kind of joining the 2 pieces. I want to bring that around. Give her a snip. And you may wind up with some little spots you got to fill in later. That's okay. So I'm having to curve it around. It bunches up in some spots. So I'm just removing a little bit of leather there. I'm burnishing it down because A, I can't hammer on it, and B, I want this stuck down good. And I want to make sure that it gets into those little nooks and crannies. I got a spot over here that's coming apart yet, so I want to make sure that I get that.
Love you, Dad.
Love you too. You can't open the door.
Say what?
You are allowed to open the door.
Well, yeah, but see, if I open the door, that means you're going to come in, and that's a 50-50 chance I'm going to end up talking for 20 minutes.
Oh, well, you know. There is that.
I feel like it's pretty fair. Ooh, what's... Oh.
What? Ostrich leg.
Is that what that is?
Yep.
Huh.
It looks pretty crappy right now, but we're getting there. It's gonna be pretty. I promise. I'm just gonna continue, and now after I do get all this on, I will most likely go ahead and what am I trying to think of? I'll be I will coat it with tan coat again. Just kind of firms up the leather a little more, makes it a little easier to work. I'll do that before I start sanding on it. Just smoothing things out a little. Get ready to cover it and be well on our way. Now through these holes here, I have to I have to find my brass tubing, and I'll put a brass tube through there and a D-ring through that, and that's just that's how they were, how they do them. So I finished sanding, and there was a couple of spots that that were just too low for my liking, and they're in places that you'll see them. So I went ahead and I just really skived some super thin, almost dust, and just filled them in, because they aren't very big. They're just pretty small spots, but they needed something. So I just went ahead and did that. I'll go ahead and finish sanding it tomorrow, and we'll be done with this one. Well, we'll be almost. I'm going to go ahead and have my piece of leather here. I'm going to go ahead and dye it black, since that's what this color or this handle is going to be. I have to find my brass tubing and figure out how I'm going to make my inserts. So I'll be back for that. I'll show you all that because that's probably the hardest part of these. The stitching comes down the side or down across the top, and it kind of wraps around underneath a little bit. So we'll see how all that goes once we get it wrapped. But till then, I'm going to leave it hang here and dry till tomorrow. So Wednesday is going to be a day off for me because I'm getting a tree removed. I'm not sure I talked about how I prepare this leather before I wrap with it, but the first thing I do is I oil it. So I'm going to oil this. I won't let it sit for 24 hours before I dye it, but I will let it sit for an hour or two. I want to give the oil a chance to soak in good, and then I'm going to dye it. The dye is going to stiffen things up, and we have to keep this pretty pliable, and I want it to remain pliable in the near future. I don't want it to get stiff, because it will react much better as a handle if it's got some pliability to it. So the oil will soak in good, and then I'll dye it. This is just going to be a black one. I finally got this thing to an acceptable position. It really stinks when you're trying to build up something and you're trying to get it to match what might have been, because there was enough of it wrecked back on these ends that I'm just not sure exactly what it would have looked like new. And I couldn't find a Star Machinist chest on the old Google Foo, so I'm going the best I can, and I think I'm pretty close. I may be a little wider on these ends than I need to be, but I think I'm just fine. Anyway, I've got my leather and my handle. I'm going to get my leather wet. This is black. It might look gray, but it is black. And I'm going to soak it down. I need it pretty wet to be able to make... This one's not terrible. It's only got the one curve on each side instead of going down and then over again. So it's not the end of the world with this one, but it still has to make a curve on each end, and I have to pull through that curve to get my seam along the top. So I'm going to go ahead and wet this down. I tried to pick a piece that had the most even and most consistent thickness throughout. That's all you can do when you're doing these kind of things. So I'm going to get this wet, just simply with a spray bottle and water. If I could find a spray bottle that worked really well, it'd be better. There we go. Oh, don't give up on me now. Come on. I swear this is the worst spray bottle I've ever had. It's driving me nuts. Got her soaked down. It's wet. It's clear through. It's wet. And that's just, it's the way you need it for this to be able to make that kind of a curve. Ain't much more I can say about it, I guess. So, kind of let this just kind of dry off the surface a little. I want to just kind of make sure that it's good and wet all the way through. I only sprayed the one side. It's wet on the other side too. We're perfect. I should have enough glue in my bottle. I'm going to glue this first. It takes longer to dry because the leather is wet, or for the glue to set up because the leather is wet, but that's okay because then I'll go on and get this done. So this is going to be very tacky right now, and I don't want to handle it very much, but I do have to get moving here. I want to try to center it in my piece, which is very rough. And just keep that going around that away. So I want to get pretty much as much as I can. I don't want to be handling it any more than I have to. So I do have to start bringing this up and around. And that is the hard part, because you got to kind of stretch a little. And expect some wrinkles down in the corners here. It happens. You just gotta try to work them out as best you can. I don't think I've ever gotten them all out, but the first one of these handles that I did for a Gerstner, I underestimated the amount of work that was going to be in it drastically. I still don't charge my labor on these. I did that one for 40 bucks. It was the first one I did. I thought, should be quick and easy. He doesn't care what I eat, what leather I use. Just whip her out. But the substrate, the paper underneath, is what got me. So it sucks. Alright, I'm just gonna tighten this all up. I want these all right up next to each other. And I can get a better idea now if I'm centered. It does look like I'm pretty good here. A little around the holes here I want to touch on. I am a couple clips short. That's why I have these. Not the greatest clips. They do the job. I'll leave a link in the description for them. I'm just kind of trying to push that down into their holes a little bit. Now when I cut these holes out, I'm going to use a very sharp blade. I'm just going to cut them out because it just seems to be the best way to do it so far. Best way I've found. I am also, there's just a couple little, I don't even want to call them wrinkles, but there's little wrinkles here. That's where having different tools at your disposal but just a little rubbing helps to stick the glue down good, and it can work those wrinkles out. I'll work that a little bit more, but you can see already here, right up in here, it's already looking better. Well, it's that time. Get this out of my way. These out of my way. I got too many things going on at once, as usual. Start pulling some clips off. That seam looks nice. Sometimes the leather will shrink weird and it'll pull the seam one way or the other. This actually looks like it did a really, really nice job. There are just some things we don't have control over. But if you look at that, that looks pretty centered to me. Looks really good. I'm quite happy with that. So this all is just a cheap little fella on Amazon, and it's been great. It's worked for me flawlessly. Even after I dropped it on the floor once. They of course will land on the point. This is a C.S. Osborne awl, and it works out okay too. I don't like the end here. I have to round that out a little bit, but it works pretty good. It's a nice big handle for me to hold on to, so I can do it, but it's a little bit bigger. It's just a little bit bigger than this one. So I'll probably use that. This is a French awl, so it's flat. And that's pretty wide too. We'll put those away. I'm going to use a 0.38 stitch length. And we just have to mark out our stitches. So I'm going right on the edge, laying it right on the handle there. Alright. Now it's just a matter of following all that. All my holes are punched. I don't trim this off until after I'm stitched. So I'm going to go ahead, zoom this back out, and I'm going to, for thread, I'm going to use a main thread that is 0.020 inches, which is about a 0.6 millimeter. And that should be really perfect for this handle. Then I need to cut my holes, and I don't know what I did with my brass rod. I had it in my hand yesterday. It's here somewhere. We'll have to anneal that so we can get the ends done on it, but we'll get back in here in a minute. So my first hole, I'm going to make it a binding stitch. So I'm going to go through the second hole, or my first stitch, I guess. We'll go through the second hole, and we'll go through the first or last, depending on which side you're looking at. You can tell it's a arthritis day because my fingers aren't doing what they need to do. At least not efficiently. There we go. All stitched. I'm going to trim this off, and I'm going to stay just a touch above my stitch line. To do that trimming, I usually find it's easier with the scissors. I just take my time. So I trim it off like that, and then we'll need to give it a little sanding. So I'm going to grab a piece of 220 here. And just kind of smooth out my cuts. Grab my dye pen. Just going to dye this, and then we'll burnish it with some Toco Pro and get ready to cut our holes in it. I will oil this too, and I'll probably do that before I cut the holes in it. If I tie my needles together, I always have them in pairs. So, I'm just going to go ahead and dye that, let that dry, then I'll burnish it quick, and we'll see what it looks like after that. So I'll be back in a minute. So, before I oil it, just wanted to show you how those wrinkles will come out of there. When it starts to dry and everything starts shrinking back up, they'll come out as long as you have you've done your part and you got everything glued down good and all that kind of good stuff. Those wrinkles come right out. Turned out really good. I'm going to get it oiled now. Get right up in that, you want to get in that crease where your stitching is really good. And this first coat is going to soak in so fast it's going to make your head spin, because it's already soaked in. And let that sit a little while, give it another coat. We probably should be ready to get our holes cut and get our brass in. That'll be tomorrow. I'm going to let this, put another coat of oil on it and let it sit overnight. And then we'll get the brass tubes in here and we'll be good. I got another holster I got to oil up here, so I'm going to go get on with that. So I'm cutting my holes in my handle here so I can get the brass tubing through. And I'm using just a X-Acto knife. It's actually an X-Acto brand even. Which is kind of weird for me, but that's what it is. I'm strapping my blade to make it super duper sharp because it needs to be. If anybody gives you crap about sharpening disposable blades, tell them I said it's okay. Because I do it all the time. And it doesn't leave a perfect hole, but that's okay because we're going to flare the ends of the brass. So this is just brass tubing I got. I was never sure. I've used different stuff. This is kind of a bunch of various sizes. And it should be able to go through both sides. It's kind of a snug fit, and that's the way I like it. There, you know, this kit's got other sizes. All the way down to some pretty little tubing. But that's neither here nor there. This is what we're going to use. I don't know what I did with my cutter. Bear with me a minute. I got to find my tubing cutter and my torch. Alright, so I'm just going to take, this is just 220. I'm not trying to polish the end. I just want to make sure that it's all smooth and flat. I'll get it that way on both ends. That's pretty good there. And you can kind of take a screwdriver and just go around the inside in case there's any kind of goofiness in there. Now I'm going to anneal it. I'm going to use just a little micro torch. It'll still get hot. Well, it'll get plenty hot. But all we're going to do is anneal it, and annealing it is going to soften the brass and make it, whenever you make a tube like this, it's extruded and it kind of gets work hardened. If that's the right word? Yeah, work hardened. So it gets harder because it's been worked, just like your rifle brass. So I just use my mini torch. And you want to just heat it until it kind of changes color. It only takes a minute, but you can see how it's changed color there. That should soften it up enough to work with it a little. I need to set this down because it's kind of warm. And then as soon as that cools off, I'll show you how I'm going to do it. I'm going to flare one end, or whatever it's going to do. Hopefully it's going to flare. I do have like a brake line flare tool, but you can only do one side, it seems. So maybe I'll get it out and try it again. I don't know. We'll see what happens here. But I will show you here in a couple minutes after this cools off. So now if this works out okay, I'm going to take this and my cutter kind of leaves a little, it kind of rolls that in a little bit. I don't want that. So I'm just going to use this tool to kind of flare that back out the way it's supposed to be. And then this is part of a rivet setting kit. So I'm just going to use that to do my roll. I'm just going to kind of gently go around it a little. Alrighty. And this does not always work, and it's not working. It's already kind of bunged that up. I'll cut that off. I'll try again. That's all I can do. I keep trying until I get one that works. Well, let's just go ahead and anneal the other end here. making it, even doing it hot isn't going to make any difference. So I'm going to let that cool down. Give her another shot. That's all I can do. Keep trying until I get it right. So, I don't know how well that's going to show up, but it's just a little flare on there. And it's just enough so that when you insert this, and you got to have the right size tube to start with, that once you feed it through, that it looks nice. It's flared a little so it won't pull through. I mean, I'm pulling pretty hard and it won't pull through. And that's all I want it to do. I don't want it to pull through. So now I got to mark it to where I'm going to cut it off. Uh-oh, my wife's looking for the dog. And I just want to leave a little bit, 1/8 of an inch past the handle here. I wish I had a Sharpie. I don't know if you'll be able to see it, but I've got it marked there. I gotta find my Sharpies. What did I do with my Sharpies? I just bought some. I just got some, for Pete's sake. So hopefully that mark will stay there now as I slide it back out. It's partly came away, but I can see it. You don't need a fancy cutting tool. This is just a cheap tubing cutter. I've tried this a couple of times and screwed it up, so I had to remember which tool I used. I don't do a lot of these type of handles. There's a lot of different ways to cut your tubing. You could use your Dremel tool. You could use, whatever. I grabbed my brake line flare kit, and it did not have what I needed. Roll her around a little bit, tighten her up a little. You do need to take your time with this. And there we go. And we'll take this tool and try to kind of start that flaring out. I've got another tool too that goes on the drill. Where did I put that? I know I set it somewhere. Well, I just had the darn thing. Oh, it's right here. It's right here, right in front of my face. And this thing's kind of cool because it'll take that raw edge out of there, and you can use your drill to do it. But I'm not using that right now. And it'll do several different sizes, that particular tool anyway. Need to tuck the leather down behind the I just want to get this pushed around the outside of this brass tube so I can flare it. Should have done that in the first place. Now, of all the tools that I've got running around here for cars and whatever, the thing that worked the best was this piece, and this goes to my harmonic balance puller. Of all things. I do need a good solid piece under it. So we'll go like that. And you need 14 hands. I'm just going to kind of hold that. Now the problem with this has been, now as it has been in the past, is it'll totally screw the other side up. That's what I'm trying to avoid. I haven't figured out a good way to do that yet, except to squeeze it in something. So I'm gonna try to make a tool. I got a feeling I'm gonna get more of these, so I might as well try to make something. Some kind of tool to make this easier. To get it out, I'm just gonna collapse it in on itself and it'll come out. There we go. This was the thinnest tubing I could find. So I'm kind of at a loss. I'm going to try to figure this out and I'll let you know what I wind up with. This has worked in the past, but I've had to, 4 or 5 tries before I get one that works. So I don't want to spend that much time or effort to do this. So I will figure this out and I'll get back with you. So I got one in. Looks pretty good. Came out okay. Took a combination of tools and a lot of gentle mallet work. But I'm pretty happy with the seam. It looks pretty well centered. It was a little taller than I would like, but there's not a lot you can do. It'll be fine. I want it to hold and I want it to stay together good. I'm not sure where the video cut off. My battery or my card got filled up and it doesn't tell me. It doesn't notify me. So this is the handle. It's all done aside from putting these D-rings on. I got one on. They get a little beat up as you go through and do this process. There isn't a whole lot you can do about it because it is what it is. So these are nickel plated rings. And I try not to get them too messed up, but they always get that way. There's not much I can do about it. If I don't like it, I'll chuck it and I'll get another one out, but there really isn't a lot that can be done about it. The first thing I'm going to do is I'm going to wrap it with some painter's tape in an effort to try and keep things a little nicer looking. A lot of it is covered up, so when you get this installed, the bottom goes into another piece and that's what you get. And hopefully there's enough room for that the way these things go. So I want to watch the corners. Because they tend to get the brunt of things. And I want to make sure I go around it a few times. I'm going to say this is a total pain in the butt to put these in. I hate doing it. It's just part of doing these kind of handles, I guess. This is why I don't do too many of them. If you want to see a holster like this, I'm redesigning it a little bit. This was the first go round. I usually use a 1911 for the first run, but you know, we can use a different gun. If you want to see another holster like this one's got snaps on the back, so you can just flip it right through your belt loop or belt. It didn't work real well because the snaps, when you go to draw the gun, the snaps break before anything else, so you lose it. So I'm going to use a metal clip, I think, on the next one. And these are really sturdy clips. They're really decent. I don't even remember where I got them because I bought them by a boatload. But it's a nice holster. I will probably go ahead and do something different back here and use it for myself. I mean, I made it for myself anyway. So anyway, to this point, let's see if I can zoom in a little bit. Whoop. This is a welded D-ring, and you can see where it gets welded in the middle there. It's just so it's not like TIG welded or anything, it's just kind of fusion welded. You need to cut through that weld. If you're really strong, you can get through it with a good set of side cutters. These are good cutters. I just need a little more handle. I've cut a few of them with these, but not too many. So I use this pair of lineman's pliers. I have a couple pairs. Used to do a little electrical work. Security systems. specifically. And I just stick it in there, and these are, you can't use cheap ones. These are good. Ideal is the brand name of them. They're really good cutters. They'll pop right through that, just like that there. Sometimes you can then go through with this and get a little spread on them to start you out. So split it, open it up a little bit. Now I need to really spread it out. To do that, I need to take 2 pairs of pliers. And no, you can't see me. There, I'll get you up here. But I need to hold it, and I need to kind of twist. Until you can open it up like that. Now it's got to go a little further. And we'll see. Okay, it fits there. The other part is the corner here. It has to be flattened out a little bit. For that, I will usually wrap a little leather around it. You want to make sure you're right. You got to get your pliers in there the right way, so it's going to flatten that corner out a little bit. Sometimes you have to have something a little stronger to do that, until you're going to be able to feed it through all the way. So I'm going to take the tape off, and even with the tape on there, you're still going to mess it up, and there isn't a whole lot we can do about that. I don't know when in the manufacturing process. I mean, it has to be done the same way there, but if you've got a machine, you know, it makes life a little easier. I don't have one, and I don't do enough of these to make something to do it. I've made my own D-rings before, and my own buckles. Not something I would do a lot of, but it is windy out today. Windy and chilly. I just hooked up the air conditioner. Had to get cold. It's Minnesota. What can you do? So now I'm going to try to fit that through all the way, and it's not quite going to go. I got to flatten it out just a little bit more. So I don't know, you won't be able to see nothing in there. I'm right on that corner. Just don't have enough snort to do it anymore. These pliers, I've never broken a set of Ideals or Kleins. Oh, I did break a set of Kleins. I take that back. So we just need that flat enough so that it'll roll through here, just like that. And I really hate that it gets messed up that way, but it happens. Not much I can do for it. Now keep in mind, this is not my leather hammer. I use this for setting rivets and stuff. We're just going to tap it right on the corner until we get fairly close. Then I'm going to roll it a little bit here, like so. Double check this one, get that a little bit flatter maybe. Ouch. Better watch your fingies. There we go. So I had to have my customer send me a picture of his D-rings that he had that broke. I've never seen a D-ring break before, but he tried to take them out, and when he did, they snapped. And that's just because they're, I don't know, too hard of metal, I guess. I don't know. You can heat these up and do this too, but you're going to ruin the plating. For the most part, they aren't perfect, but they do the job. These are pretty heavy D-rings. So they're 3/4 inch Ds. I was hoping I could get away with 1 inch because they fit a little better. But there you go. The D-rings are installed. That's kind of the process of doing it. The worst part is making these ferrules to go in here to protect the leather and such. But it seems to work great. They're in there, nice and solid. It's a good comfortable feeling handle. I really like it. So there you go. Kennedy is exactly the same. It's a little smaller. The Kennedy ones are a little smaller. They're not as beefy as these. They're nice handles. I really like them. And they're pretty cool with the D-rings in there. So we keep most of it looking decent. The D-rings are going to get messed up because I don't have any specialized equipment for doing it. And you got to apply so much force that they can get kind of jacked up. And that's all there is to it. They just get a little, I don't even want to call it, they get a little gouged. And you can see through the nickel plating down into some of the copper in there. I don't know if you'll see that. But when the plating process is, they'll take the steel gets polished. Then I think it gets copper plated. And then it goes into a nickel plate. If it's getting chrome plated, then it'll go to chrome plate as well. So there we go. These are just nickel plated. What it would have been when in the original chest. So I got those done. Pain in the butt they are. Hope you enjoyed seeing a different style of handle than the Gerstners. Other than that, y'all stay safe and God bless. And I'll catch you in the next video.